Join with me today is Dulum, and we are going to be testing out on the test server. What are we testing today?
Spider Society.
Woo!
Absolutely.
So we're gonna be going into the raids now. We're gonna go with these teams right here. This is the way my account was configured. Your account on the test server was configured with probably more reasonable what a lot of people are gonna have. So you're gonna have to check your videos out. So we're gonna go into the final boss node. And what was your experience on the first two nodes? And then I'll explain my experience on the first two nodes. And on this first run right here, we're going to go in the boss node, and I'm just going to be looking at animations. That's all we're going to be doing. But tell me what your experience was on the first two nodes.
Yeah, the first node was honestly really easy. The first node was not bad at all. The second node, I could see where the team not struggled, but hit a little bit of pitfalls, and it took a little bit more time to get through. I feel like I walked over node 1, and then node 2 was like, oh, okay, cool. It takes a little bit more time. It's fine. But I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to need to build them bigger to do this reliably. It was like, oh, okay, cool. This team can get through it.
Right. And so the other thing too is with your account, you know, they were at 95. It's a lot of gold to go to 100, but it's like a 20% stat boost on some of the important stats like health and damage, right? Which is kind of a big deal. It's a big jump overall. Because like even for me, I had a problem right here is like, you know, Noir applies disrupted. And the idea is that Ghost Spider is going to go third, and you want to spread as much cool stuff as possible. And then we've got Striker on Pav, which is going to give Turn Meter the team on the assist when it hits into a vulnerable. And he also applies defense down. And so the idea is that I can spread defense down and offense down and bleed and disruptive and heal block and all that stuff. But something happens that I didn't expect, and is that he deletes the guy. Like he's gonna die right here. What was your experience with trying to spread as many positive effects from Ghost Spider with basically lower stats, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had issues with Ghost Spider actually being able to spread things because of the resistance. I had issues Ghost Spider taking off the taunts. I mean, as you can see there, the Absorbing Man died just like you said he would.
Yeah.
But Ghost Spider couldn't even take off the taunt from the Absorbing Men sometime, and then I'm just standing there like, well, can't wait for Phylavel and Squirrel Girl to clear and heal all this, and now I lose. Awesome.
Ooh, not good. See, because the reason why I was asking that is because, like, I probably don't want to spread that, right? It's just an offense down, right? So I'm just going to do this special right there instead of I'm going to save the spread for sometime later in the match. But I was just hoping that if I didn't kill that Absorbing Man, then I could spread the defense down. That's going to prevent timeout issues because that's really the only way to get the defense down across the board. I mean, there's a lot of other negative effects. It feels like the Spider Society team doesn't have a way of getting a lot of offense up, and it doesn't have a way of putting defense down on the other side. That's just my thoughts on it. What did you think about it so far?
Yeah, I agree. Like, they have incredible sustain, and they're going to take like 4 turns in a row because they all have speed up. Pav is giving the 5% extra speed bar if they already all have speed up, because then he's not applying it to anybody. And then all the enemies have slow, right? So they're going to take a bunch of turns, but you got to remember raid tunes are tuned so high when it comes to like their health stats and stuff like that. Some of them have like 12 million health.
Right.
And without defense down, you really have to punch into them for a while. And then that causes timeout issues, just like we've had in Invaders back in Incursion 1, where we had to sim the boss to not have timeout issues.
Yeah, and so Peter B. Parker is probably the most uneventful one in my experience. He seems kind of lackluster. He does provide immunity on the team, but Penny seems to be where it's at, in my opinion, giving tons of ability energy, giving barrier, having cool stuff pop off on deflect, but more importantly, like right here, we're going to be putting safeguard on our team and putting trauma on their team. She is like the backbone of the team. Would you say that's accurate?
Oh, absolutely. She's the battery. She's the controller. She's nuts. She's also the person putting out deflex on the team. So like, she is really, really, really good. Like, she's by far the best character on the team. Like, without a doubt, she's the best.
Yes. So that was my take too. Now, I do want to say that's on this team, but on an individual standalone basis, she's 106 speed, which is atrocious. I do not think she's going to be a good plug and play character. I do not think Peter B. Parker is going to be a good plug and play player. I mean, he's kind of the star brand of the team, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, he does things. His passive does things. He's definitely helpful, but he feels like the star brand. He really does. So I don't know what to say, but as far as plug and play ability outside of the team, the only one that I had some modest interest in was Pav, 128 speed, speed up on spawn, give speed up on, has some synergy with Hero Spider-Verse. Maybe he'll be useful in Crucible and War with Tangled. I mean, we're just guessing, right? I mean, because I'm looking at Penny and Peter B. Parker, and I'm like, wow, they are really slow, and I don't know if they're going to get used outside of raids much. I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, the problem is, like, I know obviously we've talked about and we've been in talks with a lot of people, and we're trying to get away from the speed meta. Obviously, Black Knight was a big change from the speed meta, right? Because it's just like, hey, he's slowing everything down and punishing speed for people going first.
Right.
So I get it, but the problem is at 108 and 106, you've got no prayer of doing anything in any game mode that you're not spawning with, speed up, and you're not getting a bunch of turn meter from a bunch of people, and you're getting all of this stuff because they're just not getting anything outside of these raids to really help them and make them viable, unfortunately.
So I screwed up a little bit there. I did not want that to save the damage. I wanted to show how the team works. I actually pretty sure I could sim this. I mean, it walks over this node. Now, you did not have that experience with this node. I'm going to put it on normal speed, and I'm just going to put it on auto, and it's just going to, I wish I would have done that. I wish I wouldn't have saved the damage, but yeah, it just goes. It goes. I mean, but what was your experience on this node with a smaller team?
With the smaller team, Penny doesn't land anything. Ghost Spider struggles taking off the taunt from the Absorbing Men, because obviously I don't have the issue of Pav just deleting the Absorbing Men, so I'll spread everything. But then Ghost Spider doesn't have a good time of spreading the debuffs around because it gets resisted. And then it also doesn't always take off the taunts from the Absorbing Men.
Right.
It just seemed like the normal issue we're having with Bifrost right now is the resistance issues. And it looks like it's a big problem. I would say there's no damage issues with this team because they get the extra damage from Noir and the extra damage from Ghost Spider, which makes them really good. But it's really hindering them. And they also don't have a revive either. So if you lose somebody,
or a taunt, or a taunt, no taunt, no revive. I mean, it's just all passive. Yeah. So, and the thing about what we were talking about is I don't think there's much of a focus resistance jump from going from 95 to 100. And so that doesn't fix the problem. Then it just becomes a function of brute force. And the team absolutely can brute force and one tap this node. It just absolutely can. There's enough health. There's enough damage. It just rolls over them, and you can see that's happening right here. Like I've had zero problems with timeouts, zero problems with getting it done, but I'm also have not been super conscientious of status effects lasting, and so like I started off this team with like, I feel like Penny needs Striker because of the ability energy, right? And Pav needs Striker because of he also gives turn meter, right? I mean, maybe not. And then I was just seeing all the crit damage bonuses, and so I was crit damage bonuses. So I was thinking Raider. I'm gonna back out of it. Well, I guess I already screwed this up. I was gonna try to save it for Updog, but I screwed up, right? I don't know if that's gonna matter. Do you think he's gonna be mad?
I don't know. No one can be mad at you, Boomer. You're flawless in our eyes.
Oh my God. So I don't know. We'll have to see, and I'll have to send him a message on this. But I accidentally saved it. Anyways, he can watch the video and see what actually happened. We screwed it up. But anyways, you think this team is gonna work for what you wanted to do, or is this a raid trap?
I think it's raid specific. I don't expect to get use out of this team like we've gotten use out of Pegasus, like we've gotten use out of Hive Mind, or Extreme in other modes. I think this team is a raid specific team, and I think that kind of feels like a step in the wrong direction. Unfortunately, but this team will do what you need them to do in raids. I can assure you of that. If you put a pretty good investment in them and find that min-max level, you're gonna get what you need to and not have to play with invaders ever again.
Yeah, and then I'm just looking at Pov's kit. You know, he's 128 on spawn. He gave speed up. He applies vulnerables to all enemies, which is pretty useful, right?
Yeah.
It might be long-term useful in ways that we don't know. And in turn, for every enemy slow, gain speed up, and then right here, we've got some call outs. For each speed up on this gain drain and focus, gain crit chance, crit damage. Hero Spider versus gain crit chance, crit damage, and focus. So that might be useful with Tangled, right? I mean, I'm thinking that, you know, the 3-piece Tangled might be better, and then adding him will make them also a little bit better, almost making a team. Kind of has... I don't feel like this is as flexible as the Superior Sinister Six thing at all, but I do like that they've put in Hero Spider-Verse more often than not, so that it adds some flexibility. So be sure to head over to Duelim's channel where you can see footage at more reasonable levels than what we're showing here, so that way you can make a determination if you want to how hard you want to go. And my suggestion on raid teams still remains the same, is put as much resources as you need into them to get the job done, and then stop.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, this is not going to be one of the ones that you overinvest in and get use in other modes. This looks like raid specific. Build them to where you can get them and then stop. Do not go higher than that. There's no need right now.
Yeah, because PvP teams, you know, Crucible teams, arena teams, and to a lesser extent war teams, if you care about war, you know, you got to put power into them if you want to be competitive in Crucible or whatever like that. But in raids, and you know, like my Bifrost, man, I'm not going crazy with my Bifrost. You know, I put enough into him to get through it, because I'm really not using some of the members in the Bifrost. I mean, I do use Vol outside of raids, so I put resources into Vol. Sometimes I use Beta, so I put resources into Beta, right? But this team is kind of like that a little bit. Like, I use Noir outside of raids, so maybe I can put resources into Noir. I'm thinking I might be able to put resources into, you know, Pav. But, you know, I'm probably going to minimalistically be into, you know, Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider, Penny Parker, and PDB Parker, because I'm not sure how useful they are going to be outside of raids and this team. But, you know, Hive Mind surprised me a little bit too. That's been incredibly useful everywhere, right? I'm putting resources in Hive Mind. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, Hive Mind definitely surprised me. I like how they got, they're getting some use in War. They got some use in Cosmic Crucible as well. Obviously with the call outs for the global rules counting as Superior 6. So hopefully they do something like that to help Spider Society out, which would be kind of cool. Or maybe just a broader Hero Spider-Verse kind of call outs, maybe a room to it could be kind of cool. I think the only other people that you didn't mention that they could be paired with is maybe some people from the Hive Mind team, because Void Knight is Hero Spider-Verse, and so is Gwenom.
Yep.
So that could be kind of interesting if you can finagle that a little bit, and maybe even swing them into other places, because they're gonna need the help when it comes to that for sure. But I don't know. This team looks really tied to raids, which I hope is not the case. I really hope I'm wrong, because I've been loving being able to use raid teams elsewhere and not feeling bad about taking like Nightcrawler level 100, Forge to 100, all these teams. So I hope I'm wrong, but you know what? It remains to be seen, and we're going to have to do a lot of testing in the live server to see what can be used. Yeah,
and just for kicks, we're going to wrap up the video, but I'm going to pull up Hero Spider-Verse, right? Because that's what we're talking about. And the superstars in Hero Spider-Verse are going to be Spider-Weaver, Big Time Spider-Man, Void Knight. You know, if you run Weaver, you got to run 2099. Maybe Pav will add value to that team. It's not really a team, but a Hero Spider-Verse team comp in either War or Crucible. All right, head over to Dulib's channel where you can see raid footage using more reasonable power levels, right? And thanks for watching. Keep on gaming. Bye for now.
You try hard to find the answer when no one knows how it feels between disasters. It comes and goes, the life of dreams.